opportunity. Pitts, one of the best shooters in the Big Ten, gets that one to go. Pass break opportunity. Pitts kind of slows it down. She's good off the backboard.
They go right corner. Pitts hits the three.
She's really the best three-point option that they have.
Minnesota's Destiny Pitts can certainly shoot it and score the basketball just a little bit. And last year's Freshman of the Year, trying to make a name for herself again in her sophomore season. So we bring in the sophomore sensation out of Minneapolis. Destiny, thank you for joining us. Let's talk about your team first before we get into you. Your team needed a couple of wins really bad, and you've gotten them. Beat Northwestern and beat Rutgers this past weekend. What's been the difference for Minnesota basketball the last couple of games?
First off, thanks for having me on here. And I would say the biggest difference the last couple of games will just be our toughness, especially in the second half, down the stretch of the game. I think early in the Big Ten we was kind of struggling with finishing off games. And I think we made a huge adjustment improvement, especially the last two games of finishing off the second half, starting off strong, and then finishing in the fourth quarter.
Well, where does that toughness then come from? How did you kind of flip the switch on that?
I mean, I would just say it came from, like, practice. We had some really tough practices following up to those games. And we kind of like we were tired of losing. So as a team, we kind of just all got together and was like, look, we got to do the little things in order for us to be successful in the second half of the Big Ten. And we had a great opportunity with Northwestern. And we carried that momentum into the Rutgers game. And we knew how big that would be, especially since they were the #1 team in the Big Ten.
Yeah, absolutely. Now Rutgers has dropped 2 straight. So much has been made about your head coach, Lindsay Whalen, in her first year. I'm curious, when you talk about a toughness shift, how is Coach Whalen in losses and trying to turn that corner and getting you back into a win streak?
I mean, Coach Whelan's like, she's kind of like we're going to get the same out of her each day. So I think that's really consistent and good to have throughout the season. She never get like too high or too low. So I basically just think like the last few games, in practice, everyone's been playing with like an edge, and even the coaches have been coaching with an edge. So I think that's like helped us players like know that, we kind of have to turn it up now if we want to be talking about a postseason.
Well, you kind of stormed into the Big Ten world. I mentioned you were the Freshman of the Year last year. How has Coach Whalen kind of brought that edge to your game this season?
I think she helped me expand my game a lot, especially on the offense and defensive end. I just think, like, since I played a new position this year, I kind of handle the ball more, so I have a lot of more decision-making to do. So I think she's helped me in that aspect a lot.
Well, Lindsay Whalen has been a role model, I think, for a lot of people. And today on this show, we're celebrating the National Girls and Women in Sports Day. Tell me about maybe a couple of female role models that you have in your life.
I mean, the first role model that comes to my mind is my mom, just because of the platform she provided me when I was younger. I know it wasn't always like easy, taking me back and forth to all the sporting events I had. And, my parents kept me in private school from when I was little to all the way from when I graduated high school. And I know it was important. And, it's not always easy to necessarily know where the money coming from to pay for that private school. So I'm just, like, really grateful for that. And another role model I would say growing up is Deanna Nolan, just because I'm from Detroit. And so that's when we had the Shock in Detroit. And I always watched her play. So, I just liked how she played and, affected the community off the court.
I loved watching her play, too. And I love the fact that you watched the Detroit Shock way back when. And I wish that Detroit still had a WNBA team, but that's a talk back for another time. Destiny, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, thank you.